What's up, y'all? Hater here, and today I'm going to go over arguably one of the most fun prismatic builds for Warlock that I've run so far. I know a lot of folks are still about the Getaway Artist prismatic build and constantly running around with arc buddies, spamming nonstop grenades, but this build puts it to shame. First and foremost, it's centered around the new exotic class item for the Warlock, Solipsism. Now, there are a lot of lethal combos for the Warlock, but I found the most success with Spirit of Osmiomancy and Spirit of Harmony, with the mindset that you're spamming both grenades and Nova Bombs as often as you can. In ad dense activities, I've seen up to 2 full uses of Nova Bombs and Transcendence each in under 3 minutes, all while throwing storm grenades every few seconds, clearing out entire rooms of ads. Spirit of Osmiomancy is one of the few class item intrinsic that retains multiple perks, stating that your grenades recharge quicker on hits, which work with any grenade, not just your cold snaps. I've seen anywhere from 50 to 70% of my grenade recharge as the storm grenade hits one or several different enemies, which is a very large chunk of energy returned. When you pair it with things like Devour and energy gain from scooping up orbs, you'll constantly have a grenade on hand. The second intrinsic I have is Spirit of Harmony, which many would sub out for Spirit of Star Eater for additional Nova Bomb damage. And you can certainly do that if you are prepping for a damage phase against a boss and making a swap beforehand. But if you just want to throw as many Nova Bombs as possible, Spirit of Harmony is nuts. Especially when you consider you can pair this with volatile rounds and just constantly using void weapons to clear entire rooms of ads. The combination of these two is too good to overlook. As far as the subclass breakdown goes, starting with your super, this is really going to depend on what type of weapons you're wanting to use to pair with Spirit of Harmony. Since I tend to lean on Strain and Void weapons for this build to pair with one of the fragments, I run the Nova Bomb Cataclysm. Another option that I sometimes swap to is Song of Flame if I'm running solar weapons, but for the most part, I run this with Nova Bomb because I'm running Void weapons. For class ability, Phoenix Dive is kind of a no-brainer. Unless you like being chained to a rift, Phoenix Dive is ideal because of its shorter cooldown and quicker activation. For the melee Arcane Needle, you get 3 melee charges, so it's nice to be able to spam 3 different melees. Additionally, each melee will unravel your targets, applying a darkness debuff, and boosting damage for your light abilities. Now again, for the grenade, this is kind of where you can swap between what works best for you. I was using the storm grenade just to jolt targets. I've swapped back and forth between it and the vortex grenade depending on what I feel like using at the time. Vortex grenade obviously can apply weaken with facet of dominance. Your vortex grenade can weaken, so if you're looking for that extra 15% debuff, you can use that. Or if you want to jolt targets, use the storm grenade, especially since they just got a 20% increase in damage. Now, something to note, I don't know if this is a bug or if it's working as intended. It seems like the grenade energy is returning back a lot faster than maybe it should compared to the other grenades. I don't know if that's because the jolt application counts for grenade recharge or what. The storm grenades are doing really well right now, so I'm going to stick with these until they either get patched or indefinitely. They're just great for ad clear, great for jolt application, and all around just a good grenade now. For aspects, Feed the Void is kind of another no-brainer. Feeding a target with any ability activates Devour, so whether that's your melee or your grenade, it's just kind of free healing. Additionally, your Devour effects are improved, so it gives you additional health and grenade energy while Devour is active, playing into being able to spam more grenades. And then Hellion to bring that solar mortar into the mix, scorch targets, and just all in all be good for random single point damage or crowd control. For fragments, facet of protection. While surrounded by combatants, you're more resistant to incoming damage, so it just gives you some extra damage resistance, which is increased while you're transcendent. Facet of bravery. Defeating targets with grenade final blows gives you volatile rounds to your void weapons, and defeating targets with powered melee final blows grant unraveling rounds to your strand weapons. So as you're constantly cycling grenades and melees, you're going to apply either volatile or unraveling rounds to your weapons. So you can see why I prefer to run Nova Bomb and Void weapons with this setup. Facet of Dominance, I spoke about this a little earlier. It allows your Void grenades to weaken targets and Arc grenades to jolt targets. So it gives you that jolt application for overload champions or for ad clear. All in all, it's just a solid choice when you're using either one of those grenades. Facet of Sacrifice, while you have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, ability final blows grant darkness transcend energy. This is just since I'm pretty much maining Void weapons with this build for volatile rounds. This just makes sure that as I'm spamming grenades, I'm also getting extra darkness transcend energy, so I don't have to swap weapons. I can use strand or stasis weapons if I want to, especially if I've got unraveling rounds on the strand weapons, but for the most part, I'm just going to be chucking storm grenades and using void weapons. So this gives a little bit of an extra bump in darkness transcendent energy. Lastly, facet of courage. Arc, solar, or void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. So in this case, using arcane needle and unraveling targets, you'll be able to do more damage with your light abilities, aka your Nova Bomb and storm grenades. Here's a look at the mods that I run with, mostly focused around orb generation and both grenade and super energy gains. One of the outliers that I haven't used in a while is grenade kickstart, and this is just to give you a little bit of extra grenade energy back when you first throw your grenade to stack with the grenade energy that you get back from Osmiomancy. As with all the rest of the builds I put out, the dim link will be down in the description below if you want to check it out. Lastly, for the seasonal mod, I use what I like to call kind of the big four for this season. Radiant Orb is pretty much a no-brainer. You pick up an orb and you become Radiant, which then pairs with Shield Crush, that while you're Radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals increased damage. Void Hegemony, while you have a Prismatic subclass equipped, defeating weakened targets will give you a small overshield, so it just helps with your survivability overall. And the star of the show, Expanding Abyss. Void sources deal increased damage to weakened targets. That about sums up the build as a whole. The TLDR is that Prismatic currently feels like a way better Voidwalker than Voidwalker ever was, especially when pairing it with something as lethal as 2 exotic armor perks thanks to Solipsism. This will 100% be a mainstay in my build rotation for the foreseeable future, and I hope you decide to give it a try. That's pretty much all I have for the video. If you enjoyed it, then a like is greatly appreciated. And let me know in the comment section down below if you try the build. Don't forget to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content on your way out. That's it for me. I'm done. I'm out, and I'll see y'all in the next one.